What's up, Facebook? This is Frederick Douglass Bussey. We're going live. Got a lot of things going on right here. Let's see. Let's fix this. I don't know where the camera a little bit. Get you a little bit better in the view. Understand what's happening over here. There we go. All right, you can still see me. Good stuff. Glad you could join us today. We have an exciting topic I want to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to be more consistent with your business. This really applies to life in general, but if you have massive goals and there's things you really want to accomplish in your life and in your business, then you need to have this toolbox available to you in your skill set. So that being said, how can you be more consistent in your business to build a $1 million, $10 million, $100 million, $1 billion business? Let's go to work. My name is Frederick Douglass Bussey. I am the founder of Icon Status Coaching and Consulting Firm. And we often, when we're talking to our clients, one of the biggest things that comes up when we're talking to people is they struggle with being consistent. They have fits and spurts when it comes to effort, when it comes to motivation, when it comes to getting results. And so the key to being able to grow your business is to be able to generate one thing and one thing only, which is momentum. Life is about growth. Anything that's not growing is dying. And that applies also to businesses as well. And so when we're talking about business and the thing we want to build is momentum, we have to generate 3 things. All right. You have to worry about having the right mindset, creating influence, and leverage. And when you are building a business and you want to be able to generate enough leverage, you need something that can help you to keep going. One of the biggest challenges that people face in their businesses is that we do not have consistent effort. Hi, Nancy. How are you? Good to see you. Nancy just released a film that's been well in film festivals, and so it's really good to see you as well. And I can take Nancy as an example, right? If you want to be able to release a film, you've got to be able to do certain things. You can't shoot one day and then wait 3 months and then shoot again. It's very hard to finish a project that way. And if you want to put something out into the world, if you want to create a certain result, a certain outcome, you've got to have momentum. And momentum is important. When momentum is a result, if you ever studied physics, right? Momentum is a result of doing a consistent action over and over and over again. Consistency is the key. You heard it said over and over again. How do we generate that consistency? Well, I'll give you an example of why consistency works and then why it's so difficult for us to be able to do it, right? The writer Michael Lewis, who wrote the book The Big Short, Michael Lewis has been writing books for years and years. Great at what he did. He's always been great, getting better and better, of course, but 40 years almost before 2008 crisis hits. And then he writes the book, The Big Short, which actually turns into a movie. And now he's also done Moneyball. He's done all these other movies that have been massively successful, but he's written the books on which those movies were built. However, it was the event of the financial crisis which really gave him his big break. Now, had he not been moving towards that the whole time, had he not been consistently working towards that in that process of growing and getting better as a writer to the point where he could be the one that would write The Big Short. He knew how to research it. He knew how to tell that incredibly complicated story in a very simple way, such that it would make not just a great book, but a great movie. So he didn't just have a bestseller. He had also a great movie, a hit movie on his hand, one which honestly I go back and I watch over and over again, because understanding that helps you understand investment, helps you understand business and psychology in so many different ways. It's also kind of inspirational as well. But if you are going to build a business that is going to continuously grow, you're going to create a movement, an organization that has real impact in the world, you've got to have consistency. And so the biggest challenge, that one of the reasons that people are struggling with understanding that is a couple of reasons, right? So first, you want to know why it's hard to be consistent. And it's hard to be consistent for a couple of reasons. One is that when you don't get results initially and you quit, you start telling yourself that I'm not capable, right? I'm not capable of doing this thing. And so you also start to believe other things about it as well. I'm not worthy of the result, right? You also start to tell yourself, and this is what our brains do, we start to downgrade our motivation. We also start to diminish the actual power of our actions. And so we say, well, it's not worth it. Or it doesn't matter, right? And so the things that we say that we want, the reasons that we say that we want them, all of a sudden we start to diminish them, and we start to in turn diminish the actions themselves as well. So we say, well, it's not going to, I can put in the effort, but it's not going to be a result, right? And so here's the thing that we learn over and over again. And then I'm going to share with you a framework that I teach to my clients to help them to be able to understand how they can consistently get results, right? And then there are other elements inside of that. We won't get into all of that today. But what I want to be able to do is share with you a framework that hopefully will shift the way that you think about consistency and getting results and being able to generate momentum, right? And so one of the painful things, I'm dropping my top. One of the painful things about not being consistent is that you have peaks and valleys in your outcomes. So you'll have ups and downs, right? So let's say that 1 month you might do 10K, right? And then the next month you might do $2,000 a month. And then the next month you do $20,000 a month. And then the next month you do $1,000 a month, right? All of these months, we have these peaks and valleys, right? And so you see this line and you're going up and down and up and down. This creates, just like if you're in a car, in a bicycle even, right? When you're getting up to this, it creates so much energy a lot of times that you crash the next month because it took so much effort to get here. And so what you do is you try and find the motivation. You find this with a lot of entrepreneurs who are motivated by being on zero. I was talking to an entrepreneur one time he's built like a couple $1 million business. And he had this idea for this other business. And so what he did was he emptied out all his bank account. He emptied out his bank account completely so he could start from scratch, and felt like the zero gave him the motivation to be able to pursue the next thing, which is okay at a certain point, right? If you have to start from zero, you have to. But if you don't have to, then you don't have to. But if you need the motivation to be able to do that, then what happens is you're not actually building the systems to create the consistency to get the results. And then when you feel like I've created this massive success, and what you're actually doing is you are rewarding yourself for the massive efforts, but you're also punishing yourself because you're not able to get the results that you want the next time. And so the lack of consistency actually creates for you a feeling of despair. And so what happens when you start to do that is that as you load up to get the great success, and then you crash, right? Now, whatever success is, it could be $100,000, this could be $2 million a month, whatever the case may be. The fact of the matter is you become addicted to the high of winning, but you also can subsequently become addicted to the low, if you will, of losing. And so if you're always doing that, what it does is it starts to spin you out. And so if you do this enough, you start to create what pilots call a doom spiral. And so you start to spiral down until you crash. And so you never get to the results. What happens for us physically and psychologically is that we just burn out. We're exhausted. We burn down relationships. We burn down our businesses. We burn down all these types of things. If we cannot create sustainable growth, inevitably we will fail. And the impending failure also creates momentum. It creates momentum in a negative way. And so it teaches us that we are going to fail. And so this sort of learned helplessness that we adopt psychologically helps to create that. Now, the beautiful thing is that what we can do is we can actually create the opposite effect. And we can do that by learning how to, instead of doing this, right, where we are essentially going up and down all the time, what you really want is a business that does this. So you want a steady climb, not a straight up climb, vertical climb. If you ever look at study the stock market over years and years, you'll even see this when you look at crypto over the past decade. You will see that anytime there's been a company that goes like this and shoots straight up, they always come straight down. And it's because either they have done something right and they don't know what it was. They have built the hype cycle. They've ridden the hype cycle. And so people have all jumped on the bandwagon at once. And this really happens a lot more in the digital age, because now with information in the internet, people have access to information so much faster. You can go viral, right? And so you can actually create success you're not prepared to sustain. And so you actually end up building up this thing. You might build something that's worth $100 million, $10 million, whatever the case may be, and then lose it overnight because you don't have the systems in place. You don't have the resources to be able to sustain it. This steady climb allows you to learn and teach, because inside this steady climb, what you don't see is that there are still peaks and valleys, but you're always trending in the right direction. All right. So what is the framework that we share with our clients to be able to help them to understand how they can build this steady climb of business, right? So here's what it is. The process that we teach to be able to build consistency in your business is this, and it's not about like this. It's simply that even a drop of water over time can wear a hole in a rock. Even a drop of water over time can wear a hole in a rock. Back in ancient times, the Chinese developed this technique of torture where they would capture a prisoner, and in order to get them to talk, what they would do is they would just place them right underneath a pipe or an object that would pour tiny drops of water on them consistently over time. And what it did, it was just drip on your forehead and drip on your forehead and drip on your forehead. And eventually people will go crazy. You can see rock formations in all over the world where water has poured through and created smooth canals or even holes in the rocks, right? Where you pour a hole through the rock. And rocks are simply minerals that have hardened over time. And so what you're doing, that drip of water is chipping away at one molecule of that mineral at a time. And it consistently is able to do that. Oftentimes what we think is we need massive action or a huge, powerful force to be able to break a hole through something. And oftentimes that's true with the right regards. But the thing about that is the power and effort it takes, again, with the up and down, is that it burns us out, because no one can sustain going full speed, full throttle all the time. And we are that force of nature, right? So what you want to do is you want to focus that force of nature, your mind, your efforts, your activities, your intentions, in your business, to create a certain level of consistency over time. And so we do that by dripping our business, right? And so the framework is called DRIP. And what it does is it really stands for decisive, repetitive, intentional, predictable. Why are these elements important? Decisive. Most entrepreneurs waste a lot of time and energy going in circles, spinning their wheels, trying to decide what is the most important thing to do. And they don't have a framework through which they can make those decisions. And so you're trying to affect outcomes with the decision, and you are going through this sort of overthinking process, or not thinking enough, or worrying or comparisоnism or whatever the things are, this anxiety that you are generating because of your indecisiveness actually becomes a decision not to move forward. And so anything that is just like a car, if it doesn't have traction, it's just spinning its wheels and you can't get forward momentum in that way. Repetitive means that you have found a thing that you can do, but you can't do it enough, right? So if I have a great month, I want to be able to repeat that month. And so I needed to be able to, in order to repeat what I did in terms of revenue, I've got to repeat those actions, right? Now I need those actions to be repetitive so that I can continually get going forward. So it's just like if I spin my wheels once, I'm going to lurch. But if I keep those wheels going and keep my foot on the gas, I'm able to keep the wheels spinning to go forward and forward and forward. And I can build momentum in that way. Intentional. Well, I need a steering wheel. I need to know where I'm going. I need to have a direction, right? And so I can make a lot of different decisions, but each decision can move me in different directions. But if I want to get to a certain destination, I need to be on target all the time. And so I need to know that if I'm veering off course, how I can stay that way, how I can know that all of my actions are not just about activity, but they're about productivity, so that they're not just creating more busy work. I'm not just putting out fires, but I'm putting out the fires that matter the most so I can continue to grow. And then the last part is being predictable, because in order to scale, in order to get partnerships, in order to build a brand that can be iconic and global in terms of impact, no matter what you're doing, it needs to be predictable. I need to know when I look at my numbers. I need to know when I'm looking at my business. People need to know when they're looking at us that we're able to be a sustainable, predictable thing. They need to be able to count on you at 12 o'clock every day to be able to produce this content, to produce this series, to be able to have this delivery. The reason why Amazon can continue to grow in the way that it does is because it created a system that allows them to predictably deliver packages anywhere in the world within 2 days, right? And so that level of predictability creates a high stock price. It creates more investment in your business. It creates greater trust from customers. And people like the fact that they know they can be dependable, but also you can continue to get momentum. You know you're going to hit your target because you created a predictable system. So that's the drip process. Looking in the comments, hey, Victoria. Victoria says, creating success we aren't able to sustain is powerful. Then how then do we sustain it? Well, the drip process is part of that. Having a framework through which you can look at the lens of your business and understand. Here's the thing. If you are stuck in your business, there are key factors, key indicators that let you know these are the things that we need to fix. Because one of the most powerful things I learned from one of my coaches actually this year, and she said this thing and she got it from her coach. And the fact is that there's always going to be things that are broken in your business. But the things that are broken don't have to stop you. They don't have to get you stuck if you know what they are and you know how to make the adjustment. And so if having a framework allows you to be able to do that faster and faster. And that's really the key. The key for elite entrepreneurs and the high-level businesses at the top of their game in every market, every industry, are that they have shortened the cycle between what breaks and how they can fix it. Being able to recognize those things and having a framework allows you to consistently be able to hit that over and over again. So being consistent is the key. And if you know how you can be consistent, you can build your business and create more momentum and make success and your goals inevitable. Hopefully this has been helpful for you guys today. Drop a comment below if you're watching this on replay or if you're watching this live on Facebook. Send us a like, subscribe. Make sure that you're always checking in with us. Share this with someone that you know if you think it'll be valuable for them as an entrepreneur or even as a leader or an individual in their own lives, right? We're here every day, Monday through Friday, to bring you as much content as we can to be able to support this community of entrepreneurs and to be able to support you in your roles as leaders as well. I don't see any more questions or comments. Thanks, Victoria, for your question. If you're watching us on LinkedIn or Facebook, then make sure you are tapped in with us to follow us and that you're subscribing to all the great content that we have. If you're not a member of the 7-Figure Circle, let me put the link in here right quick. You can join the 7-Figure Circle $1 Million Mastermind Facebook group where we have a ton of content, a ton of trainings, masterclasses with great entrepreneurs, trainers, and coaches to be able to support you and your knowledge and your growth and understanding what you can do to be able to move forward in your business. With that being said, hopefully this has been helpful for you, and we're always looking to serve you. If you'd like to, send me a comment, send me a message. Let me know what you're thinking, what you're discovering from this entire process. All right. As always, I am Frederick Douglass Bussey. Ever forward.